Could you speak on, were there any difficulties that you experienced after your service that has shaped the way that you've set up the Veterans Treatment Court here in San Luis Obispo County?
Yeah, I think, for me, it definitely was a challenge to come back. I wasn't, I'm not an infantry guy. I wasn't the grunt kicking down doors and confronting the enemy directly. So for me, it was different. For me, it was more what I was referencing, the changes that happened in the home. And even this most recent deployment, I just came back in April. I noticed for a couple of months feeling detached from kind of the community and my family.
Yeah.
But it's strange because, I have wonderful support, wonderful family. And there's just something about being fully engaged in a different mission with, that's very important. And you know where to be every single day. Everything is programmed out for you. When you come back and suddenly it's not so spelled out for you, you do kind of disconnect from that bigger purpose. Even though, I've got a wife that loves me, my son and a daughter, and great community supporters. And I don't want to make mine any, like what a lot of other people have had to go through. But the point is, even without a whole lot of trauma that you're experiencing, it's a challenge to come back. And you often find yourself kind of wishing you were back with your fellow soldiers, either in Kuwait and, in that situation, or I've met this summer with a couple of my buddies from Iraq from 2010, 2011, and we all have, fond memories, even though it was a difficult time. We have great memories of what we did together, and we kind of all...
That brotherhood that you share. Wow.
Kind of miss it. So, each time I've gone, it's been a different kind of response. And I really was kind of surprised that I had felt this kind of detached feeling when I came back this time. And it lasted for a couple of months, and I'm feeling much more back to normal, almost like before having gone this time. But a lot of people who have different experiences, again, the more serious time that you've had and trauma, the more difficult it is. We did lose 3 soldiers on January 28th of 2024 in Jordan at Tower 22. They weren't from my unit, but they were underneath our unit in our down trace, and they were Army Reserve soldiers from Georgia, just killed by an Iranian militia that sent drones and unmanned vehicles over where they were living and bombed their housing unit, and it injured about 65 or so soldiers. So I know without a doubt that those folks and people in my unit that were present there, that were responsible for a lot of those people, they're still carrying the wounds of that, and they probably will for the rest of their life.
Yeah, I think it's so important for citizens of Arroyo Grande and San Luis Obispo County to, it's not like it's after 2001 and 9/11, but still that we have these atrocities and these losses happening of our servicemen and servicewomen. And I think it's extremely important. And I appreciate you sharing your experiences, even in your recent deployment, for people to understand how difficult it is for people to not only leave their homes and leave their families, but then to come back and integrate. It can be really difficult. So thanks for sharing.
Well, I appreciate your asking about
it. Massive supporter. And I think it's extreme. In a lot of ways, I always look back at that regret of not serving, because that importance for people knowing what we have in our county and California and a nation as a whole is large in part to the people that lay down their lives, and whether they actually lay down their life or they come back and have to reintegrate, it's extremely important sacrifice for people to be understanding of. So thank you for your service. Appreciate you. Wanted to ask one more question before we get into our rapid fire questions at the end, but wanted to ask if there's any pertinent cases going on at the district attorney's office that are specific to Arroyo Grande, the AG citizen, Arroyo Grande citizen. I want people to know, is there anything that's coming down the pipeline or currently within the courts that are going to be affecting people's day-to-day life here in AG?
I can't think of a specific case right now, and we also have to be very careful if we have active cases.
Of course, can't discuss it. Yeah,
right. We don't want to. The reason for it is we don't want to taint a potential jury pool. So, people in Arroyo Grande, if they happen to be called to jury service, I don't want them to know so much that when they come to court they can't serve as a juror, because we really count on our community members. But I will say that Prop 36 is going to, I believe, have an effect for our whole community, the whole county, and specifically Arroyo Grande. There are business owners in AG that have lost, retail merchandise, and probably have had frequent flyer, folks that are continually causing the same problem over and over again. Prop 36 is going to help the AGPD officers when they go in the field to have more leverage now. So if someone, as we talked about, has 2 prior convictions for a drug offense, a qualifying drug offense, or 2 prior theft offenses, and they encounter them for that same crime, as long as they look up their criminal history before making the arrest and they determine they have those prior convictions, they'll actually be able to arrest them on a felony instead of arresting them on a misdemeanor. How's that important? How does that affect AG? Well, today they basically give them a ticket and they stay on the street, and they're told to go to court in the future, which they never do. Yeah. And so when we increase the sanction at the arrest level to a felony, it means they'll go and get booked in the county jail. They'll stay out of the community as long as it takes, either until they post bail or until a judge releases them with conditions, or until they've been convicted and sentenced and served their time. So that, I believe, will give the Arroyo Grande Police Department an opportunity to focus on, they're not going around looking for, they're not following people to see when they're going to mess up, but when they encounter someone in the course of their duties that now has this prior criminal history, they'll be able to focus their attention on them, remove them from the community for a period of time until their case is resolved. And so that will, I believe, help all of our communities feel safer, because some of the people that are the continual problems will be taken off the streets for a little while. And again, I just want to complement that with the fact that the goal is to stop their cycle of crime. And so we intervene, we hold them accountable, we get them off the street, hopefully get them cleaned up, get them sober, give them the mandated treatment if they're qualifying for that. And yet if they don't accept that, they don't succeed at that, now we have the option of, okay, the judge will say, well, on your 3rd violation, now we're going to have to send you to prison for a period of time. And so that, I know the Arroyo Grande Police Department will be trained up and ready to implement that when it becomes law. Effectively, I think December 18th is the target date for the election to be certified.
Yeah. Well, thank you for explaining that. I think, to use your words, seeking the truth, and like for these repeat offenders,
right,
to hold their feet to the fire and have those increased sanctions will hopefully help them make better choices moving forward.
Absolutely.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to explain everything we've discussed. Had a few questions that we really like to ask all of the people we interview, and I feel like we could sit here and talk for hours more about this, but what's been one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in your position since being elected as a district attorney? What's been maybe a failure that you've had that you've learned from and changed, or a big victory that you hope people that are going to be following after in your footsteps could learn from?
Well, let's see. So the wording of it is just
what's one of your biggest lessons that you've learned in your position?
Oh, my goodness. I want to say that it's, building a team is so important. And the fact that different people have different strengths and or different priorities, different maybe even different value systems come together in a community. And it could be just in our office, because we have people from every walk of life in my office serving our community, and yet we have to succeed. And we might not always like each other every day or everything about each other, but we've got to come together to fulfill our mission to protect our community. And I think from that, I've learned greater respect for what it takes to build a team and to be able to work together. Also to earn the trust of the community. One of the things I guess I've learned is that when I'm in the role that I am as DA, there's a lot of people out there that may not appreciate my take on things. But for me to be respectful, for me to hear from them, for me to try to find the common ground that we do have about wanting to have a safe community, and letting them know that I value them even if we don't always have the same values. I value them as individuals and as people, and I'm going to work hard for protecting everyone within our community, no matter who they are. And I think, that's a big part of it. I think earning the trust of the community is something that's continual. And I love the job, and I am grateful to have earned their trust to be elected 3 times, but I recognize that that's not a promise for the future, and I have to continually work hard to earn their trust.
That's good. And I think that's part of being a community, is to work alongside with people that we might not agree with or disagree on certain things, but we can agree on that. We want that betterment for our community and the common good. So That's great. Thanks for sharing. Favorite recipe or favorite meal at the end of the day? A long day of making our community better. What's going to be your go-to place to either go out and get food, or if you make it at home, what is it?
Well, about 15 months ago, my wife and I got a Traeger smoker, and that's a whole other podcast.
We could talk about, yeah.
But I had never been the guy that was that stereotypical guy with a griller and being really good at it. But I learned from a colleague how easy it is. And so my favorite meal now is either ribeye or tri-tip. Actually, New York steaks, amazing. And I don't drink a lot, but I do enjoy some red wine with a good steak. And my wife is an excellent baker, so my other, kind of favorite carbohydrate food is either her chocolate chip cookies or her blueberry banana muffins that she makes. And I don't cook that much. I can do bacon and eggs. I can do toast. I can cook now the ribeyes and the New York steaks. But I've been very blessed with a wife that loves to cook, so she keeps me very well fed.
Thank goodness for Wendy. Come on.
She's amazing.
What do you love most about San Luis Obispo County? And specifically, if you have it, what do you love most about Arroyo Grande?
Well, I just love the community here. I mean, the strawberries are, they're better than any other place right here in Arroyo Grande and the Strawberry Festival. And I love the village and people friends like Jim Murphy down in the village who
doing good work for the common good.
Doing very good work, and he's just a generous man, hardworking. He's been here for so long. Wonderful friend and legal scholar, in our community. But as far as the county, it's the fact that we're still kind of like middle America. I mean, we're in California, but we're blessed in the sense that we have a university. We've got, great dining. We've got, the cowboy traditions in the rural areas, and we have the college and the university. We've got beaches, and so I love the climate. I mean, who can't just love the climate? I came from Maine, where it was, we had winter and 4th of July is what we kind of teased about. It wasn't quite that bad, but long winter, very cold, and I love that here we're not that far from LA or San Francisco, but if we don't ever want to go there, we don't have to. We've got
far enough removed from
here.
it. Yeah.
But it's just a great place to raise a family, and a lot of wonderful people.
Yeah, that's great. Last question. What can people do to learn more about you, specifically Dan Dow, and what they can do to learn more about the district attorney's office, and if there's things they want to do to help? So where can people learn more about you and the DA's office?
Well, if they want to learn about me, I suppose they can go to dandow.com. I need to update it a little bit. dandow.com, or they can follow me on X or Instagram or Facebook. But really the DA's office, the DA's office website is slocounty.ca.gov/DA. slocounty.ca.gov/DA. And we put up there, press releases all the time about the good work that our office is doing to protect our community. We've got our values on, posted on there, and also the ethics of being a prosecutor. So some of what we talked about today about seeking the truth, the fact that the office should never be used for a political purpose, but for holding offenders accountable based on the law and the facts that we have, with nobody being above the law, nobody being beneath the law. We've got content like that on the website. And if they want to just send me an email or call me, I try to be accessible to anybody in the community. Obviously, there's only 24 hours in a day, so I might be limited on how much time I can spend with any given person, but I love to get contacted. It might be, hey, tell me about this case, or it might be, hey, can I have a cup of coffee with you? I'd like to meet the DA, and I'm willing to do that as long as I can get it in my calendar, and my assistant, she'll let me get away with it because she knows that I love to do that. So she'll even support it and schedule it
Yeah.
if necessary.
Well, we're thankful for you and your assistant for being here today. It's been a great honor and privilege chatting with you, and appreciate all the work that you've done and the work that you're going to do in the future. And again, thank you for your service and what you
Thank
do
you,
for
Fred.
our country. And thanks for your time.
Well, it was great to be here.
Likewise.
I appreciate it.
Of
Thank you.
course. Thank you, sir.
All right.